Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful and, yeah, pretty controversial financial strategy. What if you could invest every single dollar you earn? We're going to break down how some people are doing this by, well, basically becoming their own bank. Okay, to really get this, let's just start with a simple side-by-side. Over on the left, that's the path most of us are on, right? You get your paycheck, you pay all your bills, and then you try to invest whatever is left over. But on the right, that's the leveraged path we're talking about today. And it flips that whole script completely on its head. You invest 100% of your income first, and then you borrow against those investments to live your life. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the conventional path, then introduce this pretty radical alternative. We'll break down exactly how it works step by step. And then, and this is crucial, we're going to give equal time to the incredible potential and the very, very serious risks. And we'll lap up with the rules you'd absolutely have to follow to stay safe. So first, let's really understand the problem this whole strategy is trying to solve. For most of us, building wealth is, well, it's a slow uphill climb. It's that invest your leftovers model. Now, don't get me wrong, it works. But as we're about to see, it can take a lifetime. And this slide, wow, this really says it all. Your savings rate is everything. If you're only managing to save 10% of what you make, your journey to financial independence could take over half a century, 51 years. But just look at the difference. If you could somehow get that savings rate up to 66%, that timeline just collapses to 10 and a half years. The personal bank idea is basically a way to juice your savings rate to 100% from day one. Okay, so how do you even do that? How do you make that leap? Well, the whole idea is to just flip the traditional model completely upside down. Instead of investing last, you invest first. And this is the core concept, something you hear from wealthy investors like Dame and John from Shark Tank. The idea is this: instead of spending your income, you turn it into an asset immediately. You let it start compounding for you, and then you just borrow against that asset at a low interest rate to pay for everything. The real key here is that your original capital never stops working for you, not for a single day. All right, let's get a few key terms straight. First up, margin. What is it? Super simple. It's just a line of credit your brokerage gives you, and it's secured by the investments you already have in your account. Think of it like a home equity line of credit, but for your stock portfolio. Next up is leverage. Now, this is the force that makes this whole thing so incredibly powerful, but also so risky. When you use borrowed money, you're basically controlling more assets than you actually own. And what that does is it magnifies everything. It makes your good years great and your bad years absolutely disastrous. And finally, arbitrage. This is the engine that actually makes the system go. The goal is simple, really. You want to borrow money at a low interest rate and invest that same money to earn a higher rate of return. If you can keep doing that, you're literally profiting from that gap, that spread between the two rates. Okay, so how does this personal bank thing actually work on like a monthly basis? Let's walk through the actual mechanics of the cash flow. This slide lays out the whole four-step cycle. It's like a constant churn. So step one, your paycheck, it goes directly into your brokerage account. Step two, you immediately, like the same day, invest 100% of it. Step three, you pay your mortgage, your car payment, your groceries, all of it, using that margin loan from your broker. And then step four, the dividends your investments kick off are used to pay the interest on that loan. You see, it's a completely self-contained loop. So now we get to the fun part, the why. Why on earth would anyone take on this kind of risk? Well, it all comes down to one thing: unleashing the full, astonishing power of compound interest as early and as aggressively as humanly possible. You know, there's that famous quote attributed to Einstein. It perfectly captures the incredible force we're trying to harness here. By investing your money the second you get it, instead of waiting till the end of the month, you're giving it so much more time to work that compounding magic. In this chart, this shows you exactly why starting early is everything. Just look at the insane difference a single decade makes. You invest 20 grand at age 22, it could grow to 1.4 million by retirement. But if you wait until you're 35 to invest that exact same $20,000, it only grows to 400 grand. That's $1 million difference. This entire strategy is built on getting every single dollar you have working for you as fast as possible. So what could this look like in practice? The potential results are honestly staggering. One really detailed simulation of this strategy showed that an initial portfolio of $34,000 could grow to over $92,000 in net equity in just 1 year.
That's a 171% increase. But, and this is a huge but, that's a simulation. And that brings us to the other side of this coin.
Okay, so we've seen the dream, but now we have to get really serious and confront the reality of the risks involved. This is absolutely not a free lunch. Leverage can be incredibly unforgiving. You've heard this warning 1,000 times, I'm sure, but it has never been more true than with this strategy. Just as fast as leverage can rocket your gains on the way up, it will crush your losses even faster on the way down. This table shows the single biggest danger of them all, the dreaded margin call. Let's walk through this because it's so important. You start with a healthy portfolio worth 150 grand and you've got 40 grand in margin debt. Look at that bottom row, your margin utilization is at a nice safe 27%. But then, the market tanks. It drops 30%. Your portfolio value plummets to 105 grand. But here's the killer part. Your debt, it's still $40,000. Now all of a sudden, your utilization has jumped to 38%. You're in the danger zone. And that's when your broker calls and says you need more cash, or they will start selling your assets for you at the absolute worst possible time. So margin calls are the big one. But you have to be ready for two other major risks. First, interest rates can spike. One person who tried this saw their borrowing rate triple in just a year, which completely wiped out their profit spread. And second, you can't underestimate the psychological pressure. Watching your assets fall while your debt stays exactly the same, it's a recipe for panic selling at the bottom of the market. Okay, so given all those dangers, success with a strategy like this really comes down to just one thing: ironclad discipline. So let's cover the non-negotiable rules for managing all this risk. Look, these safeguards are what separate a calculated risk from just being a reckless gambler. First, you have to keep your borrowing low. Never, ever go above 30% of your portfolio's value. Second, you need a totally separate cash emergency fund. Don't touch it. Third, set up your own circuit breakers. Like if the market drops 10%, you pause all new borrowing. No exceptions. Fourth, only try this with broad diversified ETFs, not risky individual stocks. And finally, you have to track everything like a hawk: your margin, your interest costs, your net worth, constantly. So, there you have it. The whole system, the incredible potential, and the very real peril. It has the power to shave decades off the path to financial freedom, but it also comes with the risk of, catastrophic failure if you get it wrong. Ultimately, only you can decide if that trade-off makes sense for your own financial goals and, just as importantly, your own tolerance for risk.